Welcome.
What was that?
Welcome back to the Oh Brother podcast. Mike, we are
Professionals.
live. We are live, my friend. And it is, hey, first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Yeah,
Did you do anything
I've
for
been
St.
in a
Patrick's Day?
coma since Valentine's Day.
I have a note here. Let's talk about that. I want to talk about Mike's COVID coma. We don't really know if it
Right.
was, right? We
Because
don't
I
really
didn't
know.
test
Yeah, no, I feel like we haven't been on the mic for no pun
a long
intended, but we
time.
haven't been talking to each other for
But
a
that
while.
didn't stop. I would have gone on, sniffling and all.
Well, you never said that. I
Well,
assumed
you
we
weren't
were
really
holding
available.
for
You're on vacation.
well, yeah, but I could have made myself available. I definitely had time.
I would have gone on, but,
Okay, well, that's good to know for
yeah,
future reference. Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. So, no COVID, like we don't know if it was COVID, just a
No,
flu,
it felt like COVID. It was really neck up.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like a flu.
Mhm.
But my nose was constantly running, and I haven't slept 2 hours. In
That's
fact,
nothing new.
the last text you sent me, you were like, "Are you ready?" I was asleep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, you fell back asleep?
I felt I hadn't slept.
Yeah,
So I'm watching the hockey game, and I just went out.
right.
That's when you go to sleep, when you don't wanna go to sleep.
Well, for you gotta take what you get because
Right.
you struggled with that for so long. So
Exactly.
if you're getting some winks,
I
have at it.
gotta get those winks in.
There's something to be said for naps, which have you ever tried to I mean, your sleep schedule's so all over the place, but have you ever
Yeah.
tried to work in some naps? Like,
When I do,
do
I'm
you
up
sleep
all night.
Oh, so it's
So I
but yeah,
try
but what do you nap at 9 PM or something?
no, like,
Midday naps.
yeah, like an afternoon nap, like 4 or 5, I'll lay
Afternoon
down.
delight.
I don't nap because I want to.
Mm,
I just kinda fall asleep.
right. Well, again,
Why are we talking about napping?
I was worried about I wanted to get the update on your
Oh, my
health.
health.
Your health,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I'm not,
You look good.
strong as an
You
ox.
look good now.
I didn't get a chance to get my
You
hair
you
cut.
didn't. Okay, I was gonna say, at first I thought, and then no, I'm like, no, it's too long.
See, I
That
did it the
what
wrong
was
way.
that?
I did it the wrong way.
That's just not, yeah. So, hey, listen, I want to say that shout out to Andrew Lichter, who's our production assistant. He has been doing a fantastic job. He's been hard at work, and as you can see, part of his work is on display right now with this live stream, which is this awesome background and sort of banner that we've got up on the screen here, which, I'd love to be able to look at myself and my animated self at the same time, which I guess in a way is convenient because we're going to talk about The Last of Us at some point here too while
What
we're at
what was cool was when you took it was just you and me.
it.
Did you see that? Can you take just
You mean that the take this away?
take the no, yeah, the opposite.
Oh, the opposite.
The opposite.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you want to remove the background, is what
Yeah.
you're making me work
Yeah,
for
there
you.
you go.
Ah,
That looks cool.
well, I
like
think
that.
you
I don't
like
know why.
the dark. I thought you didn't like the black. Well, hey, listen, he worked too hard on it, so we're gonna keep that,
And what did
as
he do?
is.
Take this right from the logo?
Yeah, right from the logo.
So he recreated it.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Well, he just sort of extracted us, the image of us out of there. So
Yeah.
it's podcast production assistant
You
magic.
you get taller
It's
every
wizardry.
time. Every time we had, adjust the logo.
Physically or the logo, you mean?
No, I'm looking at myself. I'm like, a
No.
foot
Well, but you do
shorter.
this. You do that. Like we both know
I
we've suffered from hunch
Right.
disease,
Slunch,
that
especially when we're walking.
the Notre Dame disease.
You know it's us if we're walking and we're slouched like this.
But see, now I actually lowered my chair. So,
Oh, that's good.
yeah. So you
So
wanted, so we're all right. So we got a lot to talk about to catch up on too. And hey, listen, I guess we should say too, for those that, are going to be watching this after the fact, is you're going to be here in a couple of weeks.
I am looking
So
forward to it.
we may be streaming, straight out
Oh,
to,
we'll definitely do one while we're there.
yeah, we'll have to
while
do
I'm
one while you're
there.
here. Yeah. But I got you a gift. and I have to reveal it on the show now because it's just
Okay.
sweet. And this was one of those where I got myself one too, and it's actually on display. You can't tell right now that it's on display.
Oh, it's behind you somewhere. I can't see
Mine
it.
Yeah, you can't see it, it's in that shot, I believe. Uh,
Yeah, nothing. I'm
no,
getting nothing.
it's in that shot right there. It's right about there over my shoulder. Maybe Andrew can, zoom in on that eventually, but alright, so, yeah, I've been on this Funko kick lately,
Right.
and, they have an awesome app that you can download, and you can scan your Funkos into the app and, look at your collection. It shows you what they're worth and all of that.
Really?
Yeah, it's very cool. So I started doing that, but then I was out and about. My girlfriend and I were just doing some shopping, and we were in one of these places where they have those carts in the middle of the place, and everybody's like they're trying to spray perfume on you as you walk by, and they're
Oh,
trying,
yeah, like, "Here,
you know,
taste this."
right, real
It's
aggressive and everything.
obnoxious, yeah.
But they had a few carts where they were selling Funkos, and so, I looked and, I had to check out the different pops they had, and I saw this one, I said, "I gotta get this." First of
That's
all,
a
I need it, but you have to have this as
that's a
well.
weird place to sell Funko Pops at the supermarket?
No, 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 not supermarket, it was an outlet. It
Oh,
was an
okay.
outlet, but it was out in the middle, of the outlet, kind of in the
Okay.
open air section of it. So I got this, and I got 2 because I knew if I got 1, it would come back to me eventually, and you just regift it back to me. So I this was a
I
way to
have one
force you to
over
have it.
if I
I
lower
can't
the
see it, okay.
see, you can see the Coke Pop next to
Is that Dark Knight? Joker or
um,
something? What is that?
no, that's Pac-Man Coleco.
No, 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 the Funko.
The
What's the
Funko
Funko?
is the Coke one you sent me.
Oh, it's the bear.
Yeah,
Right, okay,
yeah,
gotcha. Oh, yeah, that's right, I got you that. So, this is the one I got you. It's part of the Disney 100-year celebration.
right.
Look at this.
What's he holding there? A cell phone or a
No,
Game Boy?
no, it's a clipboard with a drawing
Oh, of Mickey, now I can see it.
Of Steamboat Willie.
Oh, okay, so that's Walt.
So, it's Walt with drawing
Yeah,
right
that's a
there.
they have a
Look at
whole
that.
set of Funko 100
Yeah,
Pops.
and there's Walt on the back right there.
Because I
Now,
sent you one.
should we pause so that you can go on a creatively bankrupt rant, perhaps?
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, somehow we always circle around to that,
Yeah,
but
we'll get there.
all right, so let's get into this. We're talking about now it's kinda crusty old. Now, I don't know if you noticed, I'm gonna lose this now, but this was
Yeah,
kinda
what
had
was
my
it?
I kinda had my Last of Us Joel gear back on, and,
Oh,
I had
okay.
my knapsack and whatnot, but I'm gonna lose this now because nobody really cares, but
Yeah.
so, all right, so we talk about the Oscars, 95th Oscars, right?
Yeah.
And of course, last year's Oscars was all the buzz because of what happened between Will
Will
Smith and Chris
Smith.
Rock.
Right.
And actually, quick side note, I just watched last night. My girlfriend and I just watched the new Chris Rock stand-up special on Netflix
Uh-huh.
called Selective Outrage, and
And he does a lot about it, doesn't he?
he actually does. He does more than I thought. Because what I read a few days ago was that now it started to air on Netflix on March 4th, and it's March 18th when we're doing this live stream. He I guess he messed up some joke related to that, and they edited it out. So I thought,
Mhm.
"Oh, is there gonna be any mention of the whole?" But yeah, there's a whole chunk at the end about it, like a whole big chunk about it.
Yeah.
So he definitely addresses it. Yeah, it's interesting because it made me it's like, I don't know, I am the way he handled that, I gotta say, I never would have handled that as gracefully as he did. The
You
way
never
that he
know.
responded in the moment,
Right.
the way that he's handled it since, you've not seen him on any shows talking about
Right.
it or
Right.
anything like that,
Right.
which is something he actually comments on in the
He was
special, but
he was here the next day in
Mhm.
Boston and did a
That's
show in
right.
Boston, and
That's right.
everybody thought, "We're gonna hear about the
And he didn't
Oscars,"
talk
and he
about it.
said, like, 1 line he said,
Right, right.
and that was it.
Well, I gotta say, it's called Selective Outrage. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I laughed out loud several times.
Yeah.
So it's a good special. You should check it out.
I will.
Yeah, it's
Put
good.
that on my list.
But so that was all the talk last year. This year, you got what they brought Jimmy Kimmel back to host.
Right. Safe bet. You
Safe
know
bet.
what you're
Yeah.
gonna get.
Yeah.
He did his usual shtick.
Yeah. They weren't going to
Um,
go to Ricky Gervais. They weren't going
no,
back to
I
Ricky
would have loved
Gervais.
Ricky Gervais because I can imagine if he made the joke
Mm,
and Will Smith slapped him,
interesting.
he would have went after him.
Well, yeah. And see, that's part of what, again, I don't want to ruin it, but that's part of what Chris Rock goes into is, again, selective outrage,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
If it had been, oh, I don't know, Jason Momoa,
right,
perhaps,
right.
the Rock, perhaps.
How
I,
many
I don't think
people?
Will would have gone up to the stage at that
How
point.
many people would have got a standing ovation along with a 17-minute speech after
Yeah,
whacking the guy in the face?
yeah, yeah.
Now, if it was a closed hand fist,
Uh huh.
I think things would have been different,
Right.
but he did slap him pretty hard.
Well, what I like is that uh, he talked about. I mean, he goes into the whole history of it, and how this all came to be. Uh,
So
but
did they had a history?
well, it wasn't really between the two of them. It was really between he
Jada.
and Jada.
Yes,
Yeah, because
because he did a joke before.
yeah, and she made some comment about like accused Chris Rock of Will Smith not winning the Oscar previously for another movie for some reason. It was
Yes,
very weird.
I
It's
heard
very
that.
weird. Yeah. But so yeah, so anyways, Kimmel's back. Now the thing I showed you, which was hilarious, was him talking to the crowd in the monologue and saying, "Now, if there's any form of violence that breaks out at any point, just do what you did last year.
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just sit
Yes.
there. So, what did you want to say about the Oscars? Now, you've seen more of the films than I did, because in
Yeah,
full transparency, I've seen a few of them. I didn't see most of them this
I've
year. I just
seen
wasn't
usually I
interested.
see all 10.
Yeah,
I didn't see one of the biggest winners, which was All Quiet.
on the Western Front.
I
Yeah.
just didn't have it in me to sit there for 3 hours and read German's,
Now
subtitles
that
because it was in
won for
German.
best international feature.
It won 5 Oscars total. The big winner, almost the 5 sweep we've talked about.
What did I say?
Yeah, and any anyhow, anywhere, any why, I don't know, whatever.
Close enough.
I you
Yeah,
know, I thought I bought that. You don't have it, do
I
you?
do. I own it, and I still haven't watched it.
Did you buy it on digital?
And this is one I wanted. I think I was like on you early on. Like, we got to see this. Let's do an episode on
Right,
it.
you were.
I still haven't even seen it.
Did you get the digital from me? Because I went
Um,
looking for my
I,
copy. I was gonna
yeah,
hold it up.
I think I got it from you. Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
where the hell I put it.
But that was really the big winner of
That
the
was I mean, it won everything, the
Mhm.
top 5 except
Everything,
actor.
everywhere, all at once. It won.
Yeah, except actor, which went to Brendan. I'm gonna
Fraser.
constantly wear or I'm gonna constantly have red eye, Fraser.
I
Did you
don't.
you
I don't
you
get
didn't
the
see him at the
reference.
beginning of the show? Or did you
Mm,
even watch it?
no, I watched. No, I didn't. In fact, what I did was I watched like the YouTube highlights the next day. I didn't. I think I
That's
was out.
bad.
I was out or something, so I wasn't.
Yeah, you were, because
Yeah.
I remember asking you, but what I thought and I love Michelle Yeoh. She's great in
She's awesome. Yeah.
everything she's done.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say enough good things about her, but I didn't think she should have won. I think
Mm.
it should have gone to Kate Blanchett, and I just don't think people saw Tar.
I didn't see Tar.
Yeah, I think most people didn't see it. I watched it. I was locked on her the whole time. She was just
There was
fantastic.
another movie named Tar that came out in 2020, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, look, the only thing I want to say about this, because again, just in full transparency, I didn't watch the ceremony.
Right.
I watched the highlights on YouTube after the fact, like I'm sure a lot of people did. But what I was convinced of in watching that again was everything we've ever said
Yep.
since we started this podcast about award shows, the Oscars for certain, but award shows in general, they are the biggest crock of shit. It is completely meaningless.
Right.
And honestly, it was I didn't even watch all the acceptance speeches. I watched little chunks of them, and it's like I was getting embarrassed watching
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
These people, like, you think they would have just won the Nobel Peace Prize or something for
Plus,
curing, it's ridiculous. Oh, dreams can come true. And
did
I just want to say to all the little boys and girls out there that
right.
what okay,
No.
enough already.
Right. You
It's
got the job
mean
because you had a cousin in the business.
Nepo baby, Mike calling out the Nepo baby
Yeah,
situation.
because I feel the same way. Let's have a night
It is
where we
so
appreciate the movies,
yes.
but F the awards.
It's useless. It's meaningless.
I'll
It's
tell you another
meaningless.
one that I didn't agree with, and this will probably get a rise out of you, is Jamie Lee Curtis,
No, no, there's
supporting
no rise.
actress.
No, now again, I can't comment because I didn't see it, but I could take a gamble on the fact that it probably wasn't the best, performance yet. As we've said, what's been out there for film anyways? Like, this was one of the
True,
worst years in
true,
film
true.
that I could think of in
And
history.
again, it shows like 10 films is
Mhm,
way too many. They got to go back to 5. And I heard, maybe Kimmel said this on the show, they were thinking of combining, and I think this is right, if they're going to keep doing this.
mhm.
It's like NBA keeps doing the jam contest. They just can't stop
The
themselves.
slam dunk, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stupid.
It's sad. It's
And
sad.
Jamie Lee Curtis, you haven't seen it yet, but
Mhm,
she was a great performance. She, you know, you'd be like, "Wow,
mhm.
that's Jamie Lee Curtis,"
Well, I've seen, clips and stuff
Yeah,
like that, but
but I thought, Kelly Condon and again, a movie I don't think a lot of people saw. You
mhm,
saw it, Banshees of Inisherin.
mhm, yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
that was a really good acted movie, and I thought she
Mhm,
was kind of a glue that
yeah.
held it together.
Yeah, it turned out to be not a lot of big surprises. It's like, okay, Brendan Fraser one, yep, got it. Michelle, yeah, like everything
Although
everywhere.
that was a surprise too, because a lot of people thought, Austin had it with Elvis.
Yeah, no, I never thought that.
Well,
I
he
never thought that.
won did he
Golden
win? He
Globes,
won the
maybe?
Golden Globe.
Yeah, probably, but I never thought that. And it's weird. Like, did you see Whale yet? Have you seen that?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay, because the more clips I see of that, the more I go, I don't know, it looks kind of silly. Like, I'm not
I'm
sure I'm
with you.
buying into the fat suit situation.
And did you see the special effects portion? Probably
No.
not.
I told you I didn't watch the
Right, but
ceremony
I
at all.
didn't know if
I
it was on the
certainly didn't
highlight.
watch the special effects
I didn't know
highlights.
if it was on the highlight reel,
Yeah, no,
but
no.
a lot of the weight was
Mhm.
digital. It
Oh, it
wasn't
was? See,
even
I thought it wasn't,
no, a lot of
because
it was digital.
he was in the chair for, like, 4 hours every day, I know
A
that.
and even Tom Cruise, some of those shots that I thought were real were digital
See, I thought that
because they
okay,
showed them.
I thought there was hardly any CGI as far as the fat
Ironically,
suit goes.
the most bizarre film is Anywhere, Anyhow, Anywho, Anyplace, Anytime.
It's a Dr. Seuss film now.
Yeah, that
Yeah. Anywho,
has real effects in it
yeah.
when you would think it's special effects.
Mhm,
Because I watched all the behind the scenes stuff to all of them.
mhm.
But overall, same take as we had before. Let's not do it again.
No, it just we need to do away with it. The whole
Right.
concept is absolutely insane.
You
It
got the
should, like you said,
richest people in Hollywood
yeah, let's talk
giving
about
themselves
let's talk about
gold.
the swag bags that they're
Oh
getting,
my God.
all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But again, just holding these things up like it's the greatest thing ever. It's really sad to
Do you
me to
know how many
watch.
people go just for that swag box?
Oh
Because it's
yeah,
usually like 10 grand
more than
worth
that.
of
I think.
stuff.
I think more than that. More probably
And
double that.
they used to show what was in the bag.
You know what's not in the bag? That should be in the bag is an "Oh Brother" mug, is what
I
should be.
know,
We've given
really.
out enough of these. We probably should give them to the Oscars for next year.
No,
Yeah,
we should
listen,
have a couple of Oscar winners on next show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if
Yeah.
this live stream audience is any indication, that might just happen. You know, the only other thing about the Oscars I wanted to mention, again, other than do away with the whole platform concept the way it is, you know, make it a celebration of the art form. Do round tables, like you could do it like it was a film festival, like they do at a film festival,
Right. And
right?
you know what was funny? And I don't know how Iger
Like
pulled this
TIFF.
off. In the middle of the show, like out of nowhere, they mentioned Disney's 100th anniversary. They did it with MGM as well,
Oh,
because both of them are
they
you know,
crowbarred that in.
it's really not 100 years. Walt would be 100 years old. He didn't
Mhm.
create Mickey Mouse when he was 0. He created
Right,
him as an adult,
right.
but, um, they did a commercial for Little Mermaid
Mhm.
in the theater, and I couldn't believe they
Yeah.
pulled that off. And then MGM did like they did one for MGM 100 years, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. But wow.
You know what I wanted to mention? I just thought of this, which is kind of an odd thing that I just remembered. Let me see. I made a note of it. Actually, hold on one second. I got to look it up. Okay, so if you saw the whole ceremony, you watched the whole
Yes.
thing. Okay, so
Yes.
you know, as most people know that watch the Oscars, there's a section every year that they do called the In Memoriam, right, where they show
Oh, you're gonna talk about
all.
Robert Blake or
No,
no? Okay, let
no,
me
no,
let
no,
me
no, no, no.
piggyback on that.
Hold on a second.
All right.
So they do an in memoriam where it's this sort montage of all the people that we've lost and over the last year in film. You know,
Yeah.
whether they're front of camera, behind the camera, whatever it is.
Right.
And
Writers.
correct. And so Lenny Kravitz did this really beautiful performance on piano.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the song was he was doing, but it's beautiful. He's
Yeah.
he's
I think it
great.
was original,
It might have been, yeah, it might have
Yeah.
been. It was very nice.
Yeah.
So that's something I watched. I
Okay.
That's pretty sad. I pull up the in memoriam to watch on YouTube.
Right.
And of course, inevitably, like always happens every year, they leave someone out and there's some scuttlebutt about it, and oh, it's a big try. And again, it's silly to do it. Of course, how could you possibly know everybody that's ever touched film in any way over the last year
Right.
that died? Like you just can't.
And
You know, the
what
guy.
happened?
What about the guy that swept up
Right.
the crap on the set after everybody left?
Yeah, after
The
all the
rap
horses
party. No,
after the
after the
horses
rap
went
party.
through.
And the people vomiting in the bathrooms, and this poor bastard's got to clean up after them. What about that? So the one that stuck out to me, and it sounds like you're going a similar,
Yeah.
we're somewhat of a similar
Let's see.
place.
Let's see.
It's not, but it, um, Halyna Hutchins, who was the
Oh my
cinematographer on the
god.
film Rust,
Right.
who was, was very as a big tragedy, right? She
Correct.
was
That
killed
this
on
is
set.
Alec Baldwin.
The case involving Alec
Yeah.
Baldwin, this gun that, was loaded apparently. And anyways, she ended up dying as a result. It was very tragic, but she's not in the in memoriam. I'm thinking that's kind of
Yeah.
not right. You know what
At
I
the
mean?
end, they did a
But they
catch-all.
were like, "Whoa, no, 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 it's Alec, but we can't possibly associate us with that."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure that was intentional.
Well, here's one that was intentional because Jimmy Kimmel comes out.
Yeah, but yours involves just flat out murder,
Right,
right?
right, right. But he comes out, doing a shtick,
Mhm.
and he says, "Okay, we want you to text this number if you think Robert Blake should be in the in memoriam section because he
Oh my
died
god,
like
that's
a
funny.
week before."
Yeah. Didn't it seem
When
like he died 10 years ago? I swear he was already
well,
dead,
he
but
died about 20
his
years
career
ago.
died about 20 years ago, yeah.
But then when they're rolling it, everybody's looking to see if Robert Blake is in there, and he wasn't. They
And he
cut him
wasn't in
out,
there. Yeah,
and they should
yeah,
have. They should
yeah,
have.
yeah.
Screw him.
Well, what do you think about her not being in it?
I probably would have put her in it. I
Yeah.
forgot about her. When she came up, I probably wouldn't even connected.
Well, it would have said, it would have prompted you, but
Well, it would have said, assistant director. They gotta
cinematographer
cut it
on
somewhere.
Rust, probably not what you wanna put, but yeah, well, again, don't even do it. Don't
Right.
attempt to do something you know is gonna go
Because
horribly
there's
wrong.
always blowback. Always.
Always. always.
There's always
So,
some family, "My dad wrote for 60 years in his bathtub and
yes,
blah, blah, blah." Shut up.
right.
We don't care.
Yeah,
I
Helena,
didn't know half of them.
and I apologize. I think it's Helena Hutchins. It's just her spelling of her name is very unique. But
Yeah.
so, anyways, it's just it's a real pathetic
Yeah.
situation. They got to do away with it. So,
And
to
this is
any
like the 3rd year we've said this.
right. One other thing I want to say about the Oscars, and you, well, you don't sit and watch the red carpet stuff, right?
No,
Okay,
no.
because there's a lot that goes on the red carpet,
Correct.
a lot of fodder for the show there, here. But so this was a story that again I learned about like the next day, which was, did you hear about this Hugh Grant story? This was all over social media.
I did see something, but I don't know what.
So Hugh Grant, okay, if you
Did
name
he
some of his filmography, uh, well, he's most
4
famous
weddings,
for, as we've talked about on the
a
show
hooker,
before,
a $50
getting
hooker,
when he was married to
the most
one
beautiful
of the
woman in
most
the world,
beautiful women in the world, right? Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Hurley.
Hurley.
And so he is on the red carpet, right? And he should be thankful at this stage in his career. First of all,
And
that he even has a career.
and he blew people off, right?
Yeah. So there was a woman named Ashley Graham who was on the red carpet doing, an interviewer, right? I don't
Right.
know who she is, but she was an African American woman doing her job, just interviewing the celebrities. And he comes over and he couldn't be more disinterested. He was just, and she did a magnificent job of putting up with his bullshit because
I
he
gotta
was
watch
just
it.
being really arrogant. And so it she's trying to pull something out of him. He's just not she's like, "Well, who she said, "What was it like being in the film The Glass Onion," which I think he was in, the sequel to Knives Out.
Right.
I've seen neither of those films, but I guess he's in it. He has a cameo in The Glass Onion, which you probably saw.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I was only in it for 3 seconds." So, like, real sort of just like, dismissive. And she goes, "Yeah, but, I mean," so she says, "Well, who are you wearing then?" Yeah, and he goes, I forgot my tailor. I can't, I don't
Wow.
remember my tailor." She's like, "Well, you didn't make," and she's trying and trying and trying. Finally, she goes, "Well, it's been really nice talking to you. I appreciate it." And as she's saying that, he goes like this, rolls his eyes,
Wow.
and then hands the mic back, and he's going like this, looking around like, "Do you believe this shit?" Like, that's kind of the
Wow.
attitude, right?
You saw it?
I saw it. And
Wow.
so he was getting railed on social media like you would, like, people just straight up calling him an asshole and, white privilege on display. Like, he's just, I mean, this guy's lucky to still be working in the business.
He is, and he came out with Andy McDowell and presented an
That's
award.
right. As if nothing, right? He did the
Nothing
huge,
happened
no, you wouldn't know. He came out, did a
because it
little
was
shtick with
towards the
her.
end. It was towards the end.
Right. So they made his sorry ass sit there for 3 hours until he came out. And but it's like, dude, don't even show up if
Right,
that's the kind of attitude you're bringing.
right.
You're
I mean,
lucky that people want to even talk to you at all.
yeah, exactly.
Half the people watching probably don't even know who he is anymore.
It
People of our generation certainly, but
yeah.
they want to see Doja Cat or Cardi B or
Yeah, there was so many
whoever come
people I
by.
didn't
Lady
know.
Gaga.
Who played,
Which, by the way, did you see her performance? I'm not so sure that
yeah.
was her greatest performance.
No, I think she hit a couple
I think
clams.
a few clams there,
Yeah, okay. I
Lady
was wondering
Gaga.
if it
I
was
think
me.
so.
I
I mean, she
she
goes for it too. She doesn't care. She gives
right,
it her all, but
right, and
I don't know.
she hit the last note,
Yeah.
but there was a couple of notes that were
Everybody's
clams.
entitled to a few clams. I mean, it's still I still love her. I think she's great. So, all right. Anything else to say about this dreck called the Oscars? Can we move on from
Just
this
yeah, let's move
nonsense?
on. I wanna mention some Disney films, but we can do
Mm,
that at the end
okay.
because I wanna talk about their upcoming slate.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, all right. Well, again. We'll come around. We always get back to the
We
creatively
come back
bankrupt
to Disney,
discussion.
yeah.
Yeah. So, the last live stream we did was, I believe, was about Last of Us, right? Wasn't that the last live stream that we did? I believe
Was it
so.
Mando?
I thought oh, maybe it was. You might be right,
I
yeah.
think it was Mando.
Yeah, I can't even keep tabs on our own show anymore, um, but when we talked about Last of Us, I think there had only been 5 episodes. Yes, there was only 5 had aired by the time we were
Oh,
recording.
okay. I was confused there. I was thinking of Mando.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
we talked about the first 4 because we had
mhm,
watched the 5th that
right.
night.
Correct,
So we
correct.
saw 4
And
when
then,
we
like,
did the
the next
show.
night, the 6th aired or whatever.
Right, and we both were like, "Whoops."
Yeah, so 6, 7, 8 so there were 9 total episodes
Right,
that have aired.
and it's done.
That's
And
season
this
1.
isn't spoiler free, by the way. So if
No.
you wanna know, if you
Yeah,
haven't watched it,
click
don't
off.
listen to
The
us.
one person that is supporting us, first of all, thank you, and if you wanna, like, put in the chat because, it's
Yes.
probably Andrew for all I know.
Say hello.
But, so there were 4 additional episodes since the last time we talked about this, and it was all over the place. And you and we've talked a little bit off mic about
Yeah,
some of the episodes, but so we had so episode 6 titled Kin. So this is when
he meets up
he
with
meets
his
up with his
brother.
brother finally, his brother Tommy,
Yeah.
right? And Tommy's at this camp that we find out that he's married or he's in a relationship and he's going to have a baby with this.
Nothing at all like The Walking Dead. Nothing.
No,
With the
completely
king and his crops.
very
Nothing.
yeah, very original plot. Yeah, exactly. And also this is when Ellie learns of Sarah
Right.
and what became of Joel's daughter. She didn't even know he had a daughter up until this point.
Right.
And so, and then we see later in the episode, like Joel's start getting these like chest pains and things, whatever's going on with him health wise, right? There's some things happening there.
Like panic attacks. I
Yeah. Now
took it
this
that way.
episode, that episode, fine. I didn't have any real beef with that. Like
But
you said, maybe a little
mm,
bit
right, it
reminiscent
leaned me
of
because we were
Walking Dead.
50-50
Yeah.
after 4. That
Right.
leaned me closer to down. I'm
Oh,
here
did it?
now.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
And it
hold on a
and
second because we got to get to the next
it's
episode,
gonna
which
go
yeah.
further.
So the next episode is Left Behind. Now this was where they just veer off and there's a whole nother story that they tell. Right. So this is the episode where Ellie and her best friend Riley go to this abandoned mall,
Right. This
right?
is
And
from the game,
the
by
video
the
game.
way.
Yeah. So go ahead. Set up this episode.
Okay, so she hadn't seen her in what? How long was it?
I don't remember
6
all right,
months,
but
something like that, a long time.
yeah.
She assumed she was dead.
Right.
So all of a sudden, her friend Riley,
Mhm.
wakes her up and she almost freaks out and kills her, pulls the
Well, she
knife
comes
out.
climbing through her bedroom window,
Right.
right?
Not
And
not
and
really
and we
smart
and we
during an
should and we have to say this is going back in time in the
correct.
timeline,
There was a
right? It's
time
a
jump
flashback
backwards
now, right?
to see.
Because we didn't say, um, is this episode 6 was when Joel gets shot, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then right. So
Yes.
she has this flashback while he's in the basement of this abandoned house
Correct.
with this well, no, he didn't get shot. He got stuck with the
Right.
end of a baseball bat is
A
what it
big
was.
peg. It was like a
No, it was
metal
it was
peg.
the end of a baseball
Oh,
bat
was it?
is what it
Okay.
was. Yeah.
So anyway, Riley comes into the room, which you shouldn't really do. Going through the window and waking someone up during an apocalypse, not a great
Not the
idea.
best idea. Yeah.
So they have this discussion. She's like, "Where you been? You left
Mhm.
me alone. I thought you were dead." She goes, "Come on, I want you to go someplace with me." They
Right.
go to this, um, like
It
you
was a
said, an
mall.
arcade with a mall.
Right. A
They
mall with an
played
arcade.
there was a big thing about the fact that they played, Mortal Kombat 2. Like,
Mhm.
all the video game nerds were like, "Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat 2 was in it. It was they showed him doing a Hadouken," or whatever the hell it is. So, anyway,
Finish her.
we find out towards the end of the episode,
Mhm.
and it was such a bad episode. They totally foreshadowed that there was what are they called? Gremlins? I don't even know what they're called anymore.
Clickers.
Clickers. There was a
Grab
clicker in the corner. So we see that like 10
that
minutes.
was a that was not a Pink Floyd album in the 70s, Clicker in the corner. Oh
So
shit.
we see the clicker, and then 10 minutes go by. They're playing
Mhm.
on the merry-go-round and doing
Right.
this and doing that. Then the clicker bites them both. What a shock. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I didn't see that coming from a mile away. It was so
Ah,
Joe McDokes.
right, right.
For a little graphic there
Little
might help with
inside,
Joe
yeah.
McDokes.
Yeah.
Um, and then, and I guess this is also from the video game, they start kissing
Uh-huh.
while they were sitting there. And so
Mhm.
we find out Ellie's, playing for the other team, no problem with that.
Mhm.
Um, but they both got bit and they decided to hold each other's hand
Yeah.
and just go through it together. Well, she didn't make it through
Yeah, and this is when you realize, right? You start to, it's a flashback to where everything started with her getting
for
bit, and
her.
then
Well,
yeah, and we
the
find out
last episode
she's
is a
immune.
real flashback.
Yeah, yeah. Now this is the lowest rated. This was the lowest rated episode according to IMDb up to this point.
That's
So
not
it
surprising.
took a pretty significant dip at this point,
Yeah.
which it certainly did for us.
Yeah, I
It
now I'm like this.
I mean, I get it. I understand why it was there. I just I really didn't like it at
Yeah.
all, you know?
Plus, it was so sidetracked
Mhm.
from the story, and we wanted to know how he was going to get better.
Right.
Instead, they take us to the mall, and it just didn't fit. It just
Mhm.
didn't feel right.
Yeah. So then we go to, episode 8,
Right.
which is called When We Are in Need. This aired March 5th. Now, this was the second highest rated episode.
Wow.
I am shocked by that.
Wow.
Not by much, but it is, according to IMDb. And this is when Ellie crosses paths with a vengeful group of survivors. Now, you want to talk about Joe McDokes for those that are old enough to know that reference.
Yeah.
If not, Google it. But um, this one was just so predictable. And you talk about Walking Dead and feeling like, okay, I've seen this before. They start to portray this main character in the episode that he's a church going guy. He's found Christ. Okay. It's like, when do we get to find out that he's a pedophile or whatever? Because I
Correct.
mean, clearly this guy's demented or whatever,
Right.
which is
Right.
exactly what happens. And then it turns into like an episode, like it's like The Shining or something
Yeah,
at
it
one
becomes a
point.
cannibal episode.
Now I didn't even put that together. That went right over my head.
You're kidding me.
No, I didn't put it together.
Wow.
Until you told me that or said that, when
Yeah.
she sees the ear and the
And the
nose, like the
tooth.
bits, right? The tooth. Yeah, I it took me to the very end. Now, what's interesting is because we don't know the video game,
No.
outside of this series,
And
but
and there is a group of cannibals in the video game.
well, there's so many references.
Right.
It's so faithful to the game,
Mhm.
and it's so much so, like, a few things I've learned is in that scene where Ellie gets, you know, we find out that these aren't the nicest people that she encounters. She ends up getting thrown into a cage. They're about to cook her for dinner, whatever, and she gets loose and drives a hatchet into this one guy's neck. Well, the guy that she kills is the guy that played Joel in the video game,
Oh, that's funny.
which
That's
is
like, the woman who gives birth in
well,
the
that's
next
the next
episode.
episode,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So episode 8. Now, here's what I liked about it, right? Because while she gets captured, right, because she's going out from where she's got Joel held up and safe, right, while he's
Right.
healing. She doesn't really know what to do. She goes out to hunt
Right.
at one point because he taught
Right.
her how to use a rifle and all this. That's when she bumps into these other characters and
And
whatnot.
of course,
But
she dis disarms all 3 guys.
Mhm.
To me, that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but once she gets captured,
Mhm.
again, they're on a search party to find him, the guy they know she's with, right?
Right,
And it's one of those things where, okay, he's in the basement, totally incapacitated. It's gonna take a miracle if he ever survives. Cut to 2 seconds later, and he's disappeared from the basement, and then he battles it out with these two guys, and he takes them.
right.
But what I liked about it was moving forward from there when he recognizes she's in danger. Uh, I this is going to sound twisted, but I like the brutality of his character. Like,
Are
dude,
you talking in episode 9 or 8?
both,
Okay,
but we'll get to nine because I have
okay.
more to say about it in nine. But so he just goes on because he's got these two guys at one point that he's trying to find out where are they, where's your camp, and he's got one guy tied to a chair and the other guy's like got his kneecap blown out or something.
Right,
And he's already made a decision. He's not letting anybody live. He's going to get the
right,
information he needs and you're going to die. Period. End of sentence. Which
right.
is what happens. But that one ends where the place where they were staying, the survivors that she encounters that captured her, like the place goes on fire and she pulls a yeah, what do you call it? A Scout Taylor Compton on the guy, like Michael
Yeah,
Myers.
she
She
kills
goes
him.
ballistic on him and kills him with a
He
hatchet
was
or a knife
going
or
to make
something.
her his bride
Yes.
and run the place together.
And she's fighting him, right? Trying to get loose, right? And then
Yes.
he says this really despicable line, and it was in poor taste, not only just from a human being standpoint, but from the writing and the dialogue
Yeah,
where you haven't figured it out yet. The fighting is the part I like the most, or something like the struggle. Like the guy gets off on the fact that she's being submissive and all of this.
right.
So she gets away from him. She reunites with Joel, and boom, we're on to the
And
final
and
episode of the
they
season.
they end that show with Joel slumped over the horse, still half dead, and
Well,
Ellie
no,
kinda leading the way.
me, I don't remember that, but I remember they embrace out in the snow. And that's when he
Yeah,
says, I got you, baby
right.
girl." Remember, he makes that, which is a reference to his daughter.
Sarah,
He
yeah.
used to call her baby girl, or did in the first episode. So we get to episode 9, Look for the Light. All right. Now you mentioned Ashley Johnson. It opens with what we find out is Ellie's mother,
A
right? So
pregnant
this is
woman.
another going back in time. Yeah. She's pregnant with Ellie, right?
Right,
Now, Ashley Johnson played Ellie in the video game.
in the game, yeah.
So this is it's a horrifying, intense sequence where she runs into this abandoned house or whatever,
And
and
one of the
she ends up giving
gremlins.
birth to her
Right. What
under
after
the
getting
threat
bit.
of clickers. Right, she gets bit.
Right.
Yeah, and she's cutting the umbilical cord. Like it's very graphic. It's very
Yeah.
graphic. And Marlene, who's one of the leaders of the Fireflies, shows up. You find out they've been best friends since they were kids or whatever.
She's the woman from the very first episode that had Ellie clamped
The radiator.
to the radiator
Correct.
and wouldn't tell her why or whatever until
Right.
eventually they realize she's not turning, something's odd with this girl.
Yeah.
So Joel and Ellie make it to the hospital,
Mhm.
but they're
Which was
not
the whole
greeted.
reason for their trek across the
Correct.
country.
So
Yeah.
they're in Utah now,
Mhm.
and they didn't get a very nice greeting. He got whacked over the head, knocked out,
Mhm.
and we just saw Ellie get kind of smothered and dragged off.
Mhm.
He wakes up and he's like, "Where's Ellie? What's going on? Let me go." He doesn't know who they are, and then Marlene comes back into the picture and says, "Look, we figured a way. We think we can fix the virus, but we got to cut open her
We're
brain
gonna
and
do
use
brain
her
surgery.
brains." Brains.
Right. So basically, we got to kill her for the good of the
to
human
save
race.
everyone else.
Right. You
Yes.
good with that? So and clearly he's not. Now, before that, we were talking about how this, has remained pretty faithful to the game. The little we know about it, but there's a scene in there, and again, fans of the video game would know where Ellie and Joel are in this abandoned building, trying to get up to the top to oversee where they're at and kind of survey the area. And they stumble upon this, like, I don't know, what do you call them, a gaggle of giraffes. I don't know what you call
Right.
it, but
Yeah.
it's right out of the video game. Like, I
Yeah.
literally looked up the scene from the game on YouTube, and it's, like,
Mhm.
almost exact. It's incredible. It's very well done.
Yeah, he grabs branches, gives them to her,
The
and she
effects
feeds them.
the
Yeah.
effects are incredible.
Yeah. I think it
Incredible.
was a real giraffe they were feeding. I don't think that was digital or anything. I don't know about when there was a bunch of giraffes, I'm sure it was
It could have
digital.
been, but I think it was digital. But you're
Do
right,
you think
that
so?
could have been practical
Because
mixed
they
with.
have those
Could have been.
long tongues, you know?
Could have been, yeah. Now, before they get captured, as you talked about, by the Fireflies, Marlene and the group, there's a scene between Joel and Ellie where we discover that uh, this story about him. Remember this whole thing about
He
him?
told her a fake story about what happened at the hospital. He
Right.
didn't tell her.
Oh, no, no, that's after. That's how you're getting towards the end.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm
I'm talking about
sorry.
when he reveals his suicide attempt.
Oh, right, because he told her, or I forget what episode, but he
Right.
said, "Somebody shot me,
And they
and
missed.
they missed."
Right.
And she said, "What did you do?" "I shot back, and
Right.
I missed."
And so in this episode, he says, I'm the one that shot and missed.
Right,
So,
and the reason that came out is because Ellie is, they're starting a bond
mhm.
in a different way. It's almost like a father-daughter thing now,
Oh, yeah.
so I found that interesting. Then they get to the hospital, then take it from
Right.
there.
Right. Exactly. So now, when Joel learns of the plan,
Correct.
as you laid out from
Yeah.
Marlene, he's not having any of that. He tries to fight back. They subdue him. And then she says, take him out to whatever, release him out in a highway or something.
If he
Give
gives
him
you
a
any problems, shoot
shoot
him.
him. Right. And she also says, let him have this. And she gives him Ellie's knife,
Yeah.
which we find out from earlier in the episode. Her mother gave it to Marlene,
That's
right?
what
Because
she
that's what
cut
she
the
used to cut
umbilical
the
cord.
umbilical cord. Right.
Yeah.
So this I want to comment on. So Joel is being escorted out of the hospital by these two goons,
Mhm.
right? They're armed with machine guns. And it's coming. It's
Right.
coming, but it's not a Joe McDoke. It's a good build of tension. And I have to tell you, I got to look it up because the score for this episode was phenomenal. It was
Yeah.
that cello music,
Mhm.
it was so intense. But he stops a few times on the stairwell, and the guy's like, "What are you doing? Keep moving. Keep
Right.
moving."
And they kept foreshadowing the fire alarm. Did you notice that?
Oh, I didn't really pick up on that.
Every time he went down the stairs, he looked right at the fire alarm, and they did a close up of it.
Okay.
So, in my head, he's pulling the fire alarm
Oh,
to cause a lot of confusion,
yeah,
but
no.
they never paid it
No.
off. It was a weird. Now I look back, I'm like, "Why did they do that?"
Maybe it was a red herring type of
Yeah,
situation or something, but
maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
a MacGuffin. But
Yeah,
he you know, turns around real quick and gets the better of these two guys. Very brutal, very quick. It's over in seconds.
where is she?
And shots fired. Yeah, I love that. So so he grabs the gun from the one guy, beats him to the ground, shoots him real quick, shoots the other guy. The guy's still alive. He says, where is she? He says, what does he say? Fuck you or
He says,
whatever.
"I'm not telling you
And then
shit."
he says, I don't get time for this. And he just blows him away.
Yeah,
And now from that moment on, and gamers will understand this, right? And I'm not a hardcore gamer, but I've been gaming for a long time.
yeah.
And,
CD.
my thing is Call of Duty, right? But I have to tell you, I don't think it's just me, but the way they shot that sequence of events, that whole sequence of Joel backtracking into the hospital to go find Ellie,
Mhm.
It's right out of a video game. It's the things that he does
Mhm.
from an acting standpoint, the way that they choreographed it, it's exactly how it plays out in a video game where if you remember there's a scene he gets into this other location and he shoots this guy and you don't see the guy, you just see the guy's like torso down to his feet. He grabs a knife, like he already shot the guy, grabs a knife, goes over and knifes him,
Mhm.
puts down his empty weapon, picks up that guy's weapon because it has
Right.
ammo, and he carries on. Like it's very, just like a video game, the movement and the
It
choices you
did.
make in a game. I'm like, it was crazy how they captured that. I thought it was really, really cool.
I was a little taken. Whoa.
You all right there?
I'm here. I don't see you, though.
You all right? Everything okay there, folks?
I don't see you. I'm not sure what happened.
Well, I see you. Maybe your computer just went to sleep.
I
I'm
I don't
surprised you didn't go to sleep.
I don't know what the hell happened. What should I open? Google? Yeah,
I
there
don't know.
you go.
You're here. I
I didn't
got you.
touch anything,
Yeah.
so
I don't
okay,
know.
now I'm back.
Continuing on with Mike's
Yeah, sorry about
technical
that, but
deficiencies.
I was half and half on that.
I loved
I
it.
love the
I loved it.
brutality, the way but I just thought
Like he
he
sees a guy through the glass in
and he
another
just
room,
shoots.
just
Yeah,
shoots,
that was
just
great.
shoots, goes in it, finds her in the
Right,
pediatric section, right?
right.
Finds her,
Just about the doctor
walks in, yeah,
just about to
just
cut
about
her
to
open.
slice her open. The doctor, 2 nurses,
Yeah,
and he says, "Unhook her." And the
and
guy,
he
"How'd you get in here?" "Unhook her." And he goes, and the guy grabs like a scalpel.
scalpel to
I
come
won't let
out.
you take her. And he just shoots him in the head.
Boom.
Now, he
No
must have he
hesitation.
must have offed the nurses before he walked out of there. Yes?
I don't think so, because
I
he
don't
made them
know.
turn around. I
I
would have offed
I
them,
think he did.
but if you think about it, they're about to get eaten by all the rest of the
The
ones he
clickers,
shot.
yeah, the clickers, yeah.
So,
Well, let's get to the main point of this episode, right? Which is all the talk online and certainly, we can relate it back to the video game itself, but this moral,
converse
ethical question of, right, is it
do
justified? Do you agree with Joel's decision here? Which you okay, we let's circle back because you started to talk about Marlene. There's a scene in the garage, right? The parking garage. He's carrying Ellie out to escape.
Mhm.
Marlene confronts him with a gun. What are you doing? What's the point? You're going to die eventually. She's still going to live in a world of chaos that you could have saved
Right,
if you had just gone through with this, right?
right,
And he's like, well, that's not your decision to make.
right.
Yet he's making his own decision for
Correct.
her too,
Right, right.
right? So
And he
the
never
ethics there.
tells her the truth. He doesn't tell her
No.
what was going to happen. Because I think he fears she would have said, "If that's what it's gonna take, cut my brains open."
Well, perhaps. That's what Marlene
That
claims, right? She says, that she would make the right decision,
correct.
right?
And
She would make the right
I
decision.
think she's correct.
She may be correct. Yeah. I mean, you could debate that forever, but so it cut to Joel and Ellie's in the back seat of a car and he's driving off to get away. And she comes to in the back seat, where am I? Like, what's going on? And he tells her a version of what happened.
Right, not even close to
Not
what
what happened.
happened.
He just
No.
flat out lies to her.
Right.
And it was really well directed. They cut back, and forth between him telling
Him.
her this bullshit story and the reality of him murdering and gunning down Marlene in the parking
Correct.
garage, right?
Correct.
And then it ends with them on the side of a mountain overlooking a river, and he's like, "Not much further along to go yet." She confronts him and says, "Swear to me everything you've told me about the fireflies up to now is true." He says, "Yes." She knows he's
She
bullshitting
knows
her.
it's bullshit.
She knows it is,
And
but she just chooses to believe that it's true.
she says to him at one point,
And
"Swear to me
yeah,
you told the truth."
right.
And without hesitation, he said, "I
Yeah,
swear." And I thought what the next line was gonna be, "Swear to me on Sarah's soul."
yeah. No,
I
that would
was
have been a little
expecting
cheesy.
that.
They went there.
Maybe,
That's an old
maybe.
trope. So I read an article online about that was an interview with a bioethicist um, who deals with these kind of subjects where there's these like independent review boards, right?
Mhm,
That these kinds of issues are brought to them to consider and discuss and debate and decide upon. And the interviewer was basically saying, are we at a point where an independent review board could handle is flexible enough and sophisticated enough to deal with this kind of issue?
mhm.
It was fascinating. I mean, the guy basically said that if what they look for is two things. One, consent is part of it, right? So if you had Ellie's consent, that's part of it. And as you said, maybe she would have consented to it.
Right.
But the other part of it that this guy says is vital to know is how solid is the science, right? So if it's still just a shot in the dark that doing brain surgery on her is going to lead to a vaccine, it's still not
It
probably something they
was
would say, yeah, we're okay with this,
and it was kind of a shot in the dark. I
Yeah,
mean, they
sure it was.
truly didn't know.
No,
So, I mean,
because we don't even know who told them. Where were they
right.
getting their information?
And if you were in that scenario and they said,
Mhm.
"Look, we can chop your brain your head off and maybe save humanity," what would you do?
Well, if okay, but this is the thing, like, what are the odds that it's gonna be successful?
Well, think about it. We just came through this crazy
Because I
pandemic.
haven't even started the season 3 of Ted Lasso, so I gotta weigh my
Well,
I gotta weigh my options.
I'm thinking about it, but I
Yeah,
wanna see
wait a
this
second.
show first.
Yeah, I go, "What
No,
does Ned do? I need to know." Alright, anyways.
what I'm saying is, you know, the morality of the situation, where do you fall?
Jeez, it's a tough I feel as though I wanna believe that I err on the side of doing what's, you know, uh,
Best for
best for the
humanity.
yes.
And
That's what I'd like
again, I
to
was
believe.
about to say, we just came through this
I've had a pretty good
crazy what's that?
had a pretty good run. I mean, if I'm 14, I don't
Right,
know.
right.
She's 14 for crying
But
out
we
loud.
just came through this pandemic where thousands and thousands of people were dying, and
Yes.
I can remember seeing freezer trucks full of
And
bodies.
this guy that I'm talking about, this bioethicist that was interviewed, mentioned COVID because there were things like these studies that were being discussed of
Right,
giving people COVID
right,
without really knowing that we'd be able to save them if they got really sick and potentially died.
right, and there's a name for it, it's I forget the name, like, when you populate it it's like with chicken pox.
Well, it wasn't you talking about herd immunity? Is that what you're thinking of?
Herd immunity,
Yeah, that
exactly what I
that
was
wasn't
thinking
what he
of.
was talking about, but
Yeah, but
yeah.
that's kinda what it was like. That's
Mhm.
what a lot of people were saying during COVID. "Screw it, let's all go back outside, let's go all back to the things,
Yeah.
and everyone will get it, and the ones who die will die." Well, I
Mhm.
lost you again. You're not
Y
losing me, huh?
stop with the sleep mode. Can you turn your screensaver off? We're, only the most advanced technology here at the Oh Brother Podcast, folks.
Oh,
So listen,
the beauty of it is Andrew will just, do a
not
little jig.
necessarily, not necessarily. Andrew will do whatever he thinks is
Can't do it
best.
live, but
So, let's quick I wanna give a couple of shout outs to, I forget what episode it was, episode 6 maybe, Kin? When they're getting to meet, yeah, it's when they're on their way to meet Tommy.
mhm,
Um, there's a scene, the very opening of that episode, where there's this guy coming in from like shooting rabbits. He walks into his cabin, sees his wife sitting in a chair, and quickly realizes they're not alone. Turns out Joel is there.
mhm.
Ellie's upstairs. He's got a gun on this guy,
They were a Native American couple
Native
too.
American couple. Yeah. And the guy, the actor's name is Graham Greene. He played Marlon, and his wife was named Florence, and the actress's name is Elaine Miles. Now, Graham Greene,
That's
you know
very
you
familiar.
know Graham Greene. In fact, let me pull up a picture of him because People
It's
will know.
very familiar name.
Yeah, here, I gotta show you. Um, but I there's here it is right here. Now, I know you've seen him before.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, so right now he was in Dances with Wolves,
Yep,
right? He was in Dances
yep.
with Wolves. He was in Northern Exposure. Actually, he was in Northern Exposure, the TV series, with his wife in The Last of Us.
Oh, that's
They
funny.
were both in Northern Exposure for like 5 seasons or however long that ran. Um, he was in The Green Mile. This guy's been working
Yeah.
for
No, he's
decades,
as soon
decades.
as you said his name, I was like, "Oh,
But he
yeah,
was
that's
just
someone I
in I
know."
just finished 10 episodes of the series 1883 I told you
Mhm.
about, which is a prequel to Yellowstone, as is 1883, which is the series that Harrison Ford is in. Graham Greene is in an episode of that, and he's
Wow.
just, as always, he's just wonderful. He's fantastic, but,
So you
I just wanted
watched
to point
that
that out
you
because the
watched
what?
you
S
watched that whole series?
I did. Yeah, it was only 10
Oh.
episodes, yeah,
Hmm.
and I don't know if there's gonna be a season 2 to it, but it was pretty good. It was, you
Well,
know.
circling back to Last of Us, will there be season 2?
Oh,
I
there
don't
is. There is a season 2.
they're definitely gonna do it.
Yes, and I'm gonna talk about this.
Now,
So,
what are
season
they
2 is
gonna do about Ellie?
well, I'm gonna tell you
She
exact
already sprouted up.
folks, let me get to
Alright,
I got
new
notes.
Ellie.
I got
New Ellie
notes.
coming.
I got notes. No. Ellie? What do you mean new Ellie? There's no
They're
new
either gonna
Ellie.
have to time jump, because she grew up. If you watch the first episode and see her in the last episode,
What are you
she
talking about? Just
aged. You can tell she aged.
not that
Oh,
not
you can
not
tell.
that much, not that much.
She's
Are you thinking of Game of
taller.
Thrones? I don't know.
Oh, she's
So
taller.
season 2 is confirmed. The there's information online. You can look this up, but because there's a part 2 of the game,
Correct.
right?
That's
Which
fairly new.
2020 it came
Yeah,
out. Now
yeah.
here's the thing. You may or may not know this, but in this part 2 of the game, we in the very, like,
Spoiler,
first hour or something. No.
spoiler.
Everybody knows this, that
Oh, I
knows the
don't.
game.
I don't.
But you're gonna know. You're gonna find out. This is not gonna be kept from you.
Joe gets
Joel
killed
Joel gets
killed.
beaten to death by a with a golf club.
By who?
I don't know. I'm not
Huh,
sure. I didn't look into all those details, but and the video game, the fans of the game were just like
pissed.
beside themselves,
Yeah,
right? And so now the question is season 2 gonna
gonna
stay
follow
true
it.
to that? Right.
Right.
And the little that I've read so far from the creator of the game, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, who does the series, they do it together. They're not going to shy away from that, it sounds like.
Hmm.
Now they may do it in a different way, and it may take longer to get to that point. They're probably not going to, off the star of the show an episode in, but who knows?
Unless they off both of them,
No, because the storyline of part 2 of the game is really all about her.
it's Ellie centric.
It's Ellie, and then there's this other character that comes into it, Abby or something, that they end up going head to head, and there's a whole thing. So season 2 is confirmed. It's probably going to be a year or so before we get there, but it's confirmed. Also, I bet you don't know this, and I haven't finished watching it myself, but there's a 31-minute documentary on HBO about the making of The Last of Us.
I've been
And
watching those post.
yeah, but this is a whole full,
Yeah.
they called it kind of a secret bonus episode for
Mm,
fans, and
mm.
it really goes into, the game and the series. You see, I mean, you see them doing the motion capture for the video game,
Yeah, I'll have to
which
check
is
that out
cool.
because I watched this at 8:30 this morning because I couldn't sleep. I was rolling around from
The Last of
6.
Us?
Yeah, from 6 to 8.
You hadn't
I
finished it already?
No, because I was sick, and
All the more reason
I
to
didn't
watch it.
watch anything. When I get
Yeah.
sick, I just sleep. I wanna sleep through it.
So you had to watch all of the episodes this morning?
No, no, just the
Oh, just
last
the last
episode.
one. Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
didn't see the
The last
documentary.
of The Last of Us is what you watched.
Exactly.
Okay.
The final Last of
So
Us.
I have to say, with the performance in that last episode,
Yeah.
everything about it, I'm like, okay, I'm still on board. I want to see season 2. As much as there was a couple of, dips,
What if they kill Pedro in the first show?
that's gonna be tough. That's
That
like that, right? That's like when they killed Rick in The Walking Dead. It's like,
our niece
you know,
stopped by this week, Lydia, who,
don't
um
blow any NDAs that she's got. You
no,
know,
no,
yeah.
she worked on the Boston
She's a
Strangler.
production assistant.
Right. And she didn't meet any of the actors or anything, she just worked on the set design.
She's met the talent. She knows the
Well,
talent.
she knows the talent,
She knows the talent.
but she was like she went off, she went on a rant.
About The Last of Us?
Yeah, how bad it was, how bad
Now,
Ellie was.
does she know
Ellie
the game?
Yeah, she knows the
Oh,
game because
okay.
of her boyfriend, I guess, plays it,
Mm.
and she said, "Ellie's just too snarky. She's not snarky like that in the game." You know what? I even said that to you, how she's kinda snarky,
Yeah, yeah.
and
You did
so
say that, yeah,
yeah, she was, like, totally turned off by that.
yeah, yeah.
That ruined it basically for her.
No,
I'm
I don't know. I mean, you raise a good question, and as I just talked about this, the game, if it follows the game and they off
Right.
him, but I don't think they would do it like that. I think that they would find a way to stretch that storyline out to where he makes it through most of season 2, let's say,
I
and,
would think so.
and I don't think they expect this to go on for multiple I don't think that that's what they're
No, I think 2 and
expecting.
done will be it
Maybe 2 and done. Maybe
because
2.5.
I
Yeah.
can't see I'm not
Now,
all that excited for
let's
2.
talk about a show that's already in a season
Yeah,
3,
we already talked about
but
this.
perhaps should have stayed on hiatus from season 2 for a bit longer, which is The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna say much about this. I mean, we talked about it when the first episode aired. You
Possible
liked it.
spoilers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you liked it. I didn't like it. The second episode was better. Not great, but it was better. It was basically, it's Mando and baby Grogu or Grogu, whatever, going to Mandalore, right? He's got to go bathe in the living waters of Mandalore, the mines of Mandalore, to be redeemed because he took his helmet off. Everybody knows the story. That was a better episode, you know. But the dialogue, some of the writing is so goofy. I just, it's very silly to me. In an episode that was, otherwise supposed to be very dramatic, I felt like it was things
Well,
like, Bo Katan looking at Baby Yoda going, "What are you looking at?" Like just really, I don't know, stupid little things that are meaningless, I suppose. But real quick, and I'm going to turn it to you.
mhm,
Episode 3.
mhm.
Now, episode 1 we talked about was what, the prostate, or what was that called? The apostle, the apostate or something, whatever that was.
I think
Um,
apostate.
apostate, I think it was. The second episode, let's see here. I'm looking at the episode guide. The second one was The Mines of Mandalore. And then the last one, which just aired on March 15th, was called The Convert. And so this is all about Dr. Pershing, who we knew about from season 1 of The Mandalore. He was in season 1, or was that season 2 actually? I can't even remember now.
I don't remember.
Um but okay, if you and I are going to go to the bar, right? I'm going to say, "Hey, let's go get a drink." Let's go get a drink. Let's go get a
Mhm.
beer, right? What I'm not going to say is, "Hey, let's go get a Pepsi Cola." "Hey, let's go get a Diet Mountain Dew."
Right.
Right? There's a line in episode 3, and it sums up the whole episode for me, where the one character, I think it's Elia Kane or something, played by Katie O'Brien, who's a martial artist, actress. Her and the guy that plays Dr. Pershing, they're walking away, and she looks and says, "Hey, let's go get a photon fizzle."
See, that went over my head.
Photon fizzle, folks.
That went over my head.
Dude,
See,
how
I don't
lazy is that for writing? A photon fizzle? Let's go get a drink.
what
I know we're in the Star Wars universe.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't need them to work that hard to
Oh,
tell
so
me.
they made that up.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
it
thought
sound
it was
very
an
Star
actual
Warsy to
I thought
you?
it was an actual drink.
Well, it might be in the Star Wars universe,
Well, it
but
is at Disney right now.
let's go get a fuzzy tauntaun, which they actually, I can't believe I pulled that out of my ass. They sell that at Galaxy's Edge.
Well, I guarantee you they're gonna sell photo fizzles now
Photon
too.
fizzles, right? But it just, so this is the crazy. Now, again, always have to give a shout out when we're talking about Star Wars to one of our good friends, uh, Jimmy Mack from Rebel Force Radio, which is the best Star Wars podcast out
I
there.
gotta talk to you about that after the show.
Okay, he
Remind
and
me.
he and Jason were kicking off their after show this past Thursday,
Mhm.
and they normally do it on Wednesday right after it airs. But anyway, so they did it on Thursday. Jason actually had a bout with COVID. He said, I
Mm.
had a good run, but after 3 years, it finally caught up to me.
Yeah.
But they said something at the very top of the episode that I think they had heard from people writing in or whatever. And it was, I was going to call in
Mhm.
and say this very thing. And I heard it right at the top. And this was like it was like a sandwich, right? Where you had, this very sort of Disney esque, you had the Mandalorian at the beginning for 5 minutes.
5
You
minutes.
had Mando at the end for 5 minutes, and then you had all this meat in the middle that really was no meat. It was artificial, and
Mhm.
it was very distasteful. It was very unpleasant.
What was
It
the mi
was
I don't even
ridiculous.
remember.
This whole long side story about Dr.
Right.
Pershing. So let's take The Mandalorian, right? What is hot about The Mandalorian? The Mandalorian and
Right.
Baby Yoda. That's
Right.
it. That's all people want to see.
Remind me
It's the
with that.
adventures of the Mandalorian and this little green guy.
I agree with you, but I
We
forget
don't
the
give a
middle.
shit about Dr. Pershing's inner conflict and all this other
But
nonsense.
what was that? I've totally forget. I just watched it, but I totally forget that.
So
All I remember is
they go to a some place where you get rehabilitated, or like if you went against the empire,
oh, okay.
right? You
Okay, now I
go and
got it.
it's like a
Now I
safe
got it.
space for them to hang out.
And you knew,
Oh my god.
talk about Joe McDoke. As soon as they introduced that dude with the glasses, you knew he was dead,
Mm.
right? You knew I figured he was getting a saber up the ass, but I didn't know.
Wait a minute, what? Say that again.
I knew from the beginning when I first met that character and they were talking about being, you know,
You're talking about Dr. Pershing.
yeah, well, is it
Uh-huh.
yeah, Dr. Pershing. As soon as he came on, I was like, this guy's getting a saber up the ass because he's not going to survive this episode.
Right.
And they wasted what 25 minutes of the episode on it. It
Uh-huh.
was so lame. Now, there's a couple of things that were interesting that they didn't really like when he got yanked down to the bottom and then
Yes.
he came up and they showed the eye of some creature that
It
Bo Katan clearly knows is
mhm.
there.
Well, everybody knows this but you.
What?
This is allegedly the mythosaur, which is that's the signet that they have, the Mandalorian signet. It
Right.
almost looks like the skull of a bull or whatever,
Right.
that they
But
have.
that didn't pull them under. It was something else.
Well, that's what I've heard discussed, right? And when I rewatched that episode, not
Yeah.
all of it, but when I rewatched a lot of it, it did look like he just fell to the
Yeah.
bottom, and
Right
that
to
was
the
it.
yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there or why she didn't tell him.
Right.
I
What,
don't.
like,
I'm
because
not.
they asked her, they like, who was it that said, "Was there anything in there?" And she was like, "No, there's nothing there." Why?
Yeah. What would she stand to gain?
Yeah. And now she also had to jump in to save him
Right.
because, he got pulled under so deep
Hmm.
and she never took her helmet off afterwards. So now Bo Katan is a Mandalorian as well. So I guess they'll play that story where
Yeah.
the two of them are like, Bonnie and Clyde,
I don't know.
I
I
don't
like
know.
Katie Sackhoff. I like Bo
Yeah. I
Katan. I
mean, if,
like the
if you watch
character.
Battlestar Galactica, you love Katie
Yeah,
Sackhoff.
I like her character, and but yeah, but the third one, it just was so silly.
But at the end when they
Just a
had this,
waste of
they
time.
weren't starfighters. What did they call them? You know, starfighters have straight wings, and these
Oh,
had a
you're
wing
you're
like
talking about
this.
TIE fighters,
Yeah, TIE fighters.
starfighters.
I don't know.
Mike's going back to the original iteration that George Lucas proposed, which was
Yeah,
it was gonna be what Sky Killer, right? Wasn't it Luke Sky Killer
I
was
don't
the
know.
no, Star Killer. Luke Star Killer was the name of the character.
See, we wouldn't be laughing right there. And if he did go that way, we'd be saying that we're going to call him Skywalker,
Right, it's true.
you know?
It's weird how things like that work
But
out,
there
but
was these different shaped ships that I've never seen before.
that were now which this was in episode 3 you're talking about?
Yeah, there wasn't TIE fighters when they had to escape. And of course, there's 800 of them and Bo-Katan and
Oh,
Mandalorian.
right. Those were like A-wings or I don't know what they were. I mean,
Yeah,
I know that's not right because
it's some new ship.
that's a rebellion, you
Exactly.
know, I don't know
But
what they are.
my point was, I mentioned that when before Mando started,
Mhm.
I said to you, I think there's going to be a lot more space kind of
Well,
fights
you
and
said there was, right in episode 1, you said it was a lot more I'm like, "No, there's not
no, I
more
didn't
than we've
mean that.
seen." Yeah.
I was talking about the whole series when we did. I think we did a first look.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. But this
now
was I think this is the lowest rated, episode of the 3 so far. And again, the little I've heard from other people commenting on it is they felt the same way. It was like all that stuff in the middle was just completely meaningless.
it's funny too because I heard this week John Favreau wants to
Mhm.
put a Mandalorian ride in Galaxy's Edge.
Well,
He's
they desperately
itching.
need it. They desperately
Yeah,
need it.
he's itching to get
And
involved.
folks, we finally reached that part of the show where we hand over to Mike and it's Mike's creatively bankrupt corner.
And
Mike, take it away.
I'm so disappointed. This is the next 4 movies coming from Disney. Hey,
Wow,
Andrew, how you
now
doing?
look at this.
How's it
Now
going?
now
Oh,
here's a sandwich right here, speaking of which, but this is a much more appealing sandwich. So here's Andrew, who is our, production assistant on the podcast. Andrew, you can see we've been at it for a while now,
Yeah.
yeah.
and,
So
we were just now getting to Mike's creatively bankrupt segment, which is, that's
My
been a
weekly
hit.
segment.
Yeah.
But
Now,
these
are you watching, Mandalorian, Andrew?
I have not watched much of it. My dad watches it a lot.
Is he liking it? Do you know? Is he enjoying it?
He from what I remember, he said it was like okay, like it's not the best thing he's ever seen, but like it's
Yeah.
not like particularly terrible. He's a Star Wars fan, so there's like a little bit of bias in it.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean,
Yeah.
we were
Mike and I are both
fans of the
yeah,
first 2 seasons. This season's off. I mean, they've got 5
lackluster.
episodes to self-correct.
it's
but
lackluster.
right, I got you.
Yeah.
But
All right.
on the Disney creatively bankrupt, here's what coming
Yes.
to a theater near you.
Uh-huh,
Peter
yes.
Pan live action. Just what you missed, right?
Yeah. Did they
They
get rid
already
of did they get rid of the animation department altogether?
I think
mean, are
so because they're
Yeah.
not doing anything except Dr. Strange World, which sucked. Was
Doctor
awful.
Doctor Strange World.
Something like that.
What
Strange
is
World.
that?
No, it's Strange World. Just Strange World.
He's talking about Doctor Strange in the multiverse? You
in
talking
my
about?
brain, I was thinking Doctor Strangelove. I don't know how I got that
Wow.
mixed
That's a
up.
movie.
Things have gone horribly
Peter
wrong.
Pan's coming, right? Then
Uh-huh.
Dan's favorite, The Jungle Cruise. I forgot that one. They're
Oh,
going
well,
to do a movie on the Jungle Cruise on a ride that sucks.
they
that
already
isn't
did
funny.
that. They already did that
No.
with The Rock.
Right. They're doing okay. Then they're doing the Jungle Cruise 2 or
What?
or I forgot the name of the one.
The Jungle Cruise 2, The Rock's Revenge. I mean, what is that?
So you got Little
If you
Mermaid.
smell
You got Little Mermaid coming,
Yeah.
live action. Who wants
Okay.
to see that? No one.
No one.
We've already seen it.
No, that's the next one to come out, right? Is The Little Mermaid.
I don't know if Haunted House is in front of that,
Haunted
but
Mansion.
Haunted
See,
House is the 4th one.
Haunted House, Andrew.
Ha-
Haunted
Yeah.
House.
I can't even remember the name of this shit. It's so bad.
They're just
yeah.
like, we just need to keep throwing things out. Get
That's
more.
what they're
Keep
doing.
going.
That's
Pathetic.
exactly what they're going through their catalog like this, going,
And
okay,
these-
here's one.
And they're not
Here's
big
one.
hits. And they're not big hits.
They suck.
It's not like
They
they're getting
suck.
big
I haven't liked
ROI.
a single. I still haven't watched Will Smith as the Aladdin because I
And I
can't
own
it
stand
either.
it.
I own it. I haven't seen it.
What?
Yeah, I have it. I've never watched it.
Oh man.
Oh
But-
my god.
If that isn't creative bankruptcy, and what is
Yes.
Iger working on? Iger, who only has a 2-year contract, he's already
Streaming.
like 9 months into it.
He's right back into the Chapek
All he's
situation.
doing is streaming.
Right.
He's
Oh,
worried
no.
about the streaming numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worry about your animation department. That's what creates the park rides, not the other way around.
Yeah, Andrew knows that. Andrew knows that we're worried about our streaming numbers, and if we don't wrap this up, soon, we're not going to have any numbers.
Yeah, I know.
You want
This
to talk
one-
about creative bankruptcy?
Yeah,
that's
good luck,
everywhere.
Good
And
luck
not even
chop-
just movies.
Good luck chopping this one up.
Yeah,
Andrew.
exactly.
You-
I
Oh my
would want to be
gosh.
in your shoes.
Bro,
yeah, you won't
I-
have any problem getting your intern hours in on this episode. That's for sure.
Bro, I
Good
just
Lord.
I just texted in. I had an absolute heart attack because I was trying to get. Dan had this part where he just mentioned like every actor in the entire thing, so I'm trying to get the references for all of them.
Is this
and
the other
then-
first look that you're doing?
Yes, it's air, and then
Yeah. Breaking news on the O Brother live stream.
every audio track, which was like I cut it up a lot, so it was like 50, 70 different clips. They were all unsynced.
Wow.
So I had to go into every single one. And I had to resync all of them, and that was a
Oh,
nightmare.
I hope we don't lose this gem because
Oh no!
you know.
Yeah. This one just needs to be like,
Yeah, we're getting ready to we're about to wind it down here because we covered a lot of ground. We talked about Mike's COVID battle that he had. We talked
Last
about
of
The
Us.
Last of Us, Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, how was the Last of
the
Us?
Oscars?
I love the Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Yeah. Well, I don't know, Mike. You seem
I'm kind of
on the
shaky.
fence. He's
The
on the
middle,
fence.
I like the beginning. I like the end. The middle,
Yeah.
like at the mall.
Kind of like
Yes.
season 3 of The Mandalorian. I like
Yeah.
it ends, but not
In
the
fact,
middle.
Andrew, if you can go in and cut the mall sequence out of The Last of Us, I'd probably like it.
Yeah, all
I don't
right.
know.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
do
could
that.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you edit that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be able to. Yeah, because I played both of the game. I played the games, so I
Okay,
have
so
a-
you know
yeah.
kind of what's
So
coming.
I kind of had like the fan service because a lot of the scenes were almost like exactly the same of the game. So that was
Yes. Like I was telling Mike about the giraffe scene,
yeah.
which
The
was
giraffe
now,
scene was basically a carbon copy.
Now, was the giraffe scene, Andrew? Do you know? Was there feeding the giraffe? Was that a practical giraffe, or was that also CGI?
I say real.
You say,
I would. I mean, I have a little bit of animation. That would be very hard to do.
Well, no,
yeah,
without it being
knowing
real, so
going to the San Diego animal park, not the zoo, but the San Diego has an animal park that's better than the zoo. You can go in a truck and feed giraffes. And I was in the back of one of these trucks,
Yeah.
and they got these big long tongues.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I've fed a giraffe before
Oh,
at the zoo. I
You
know it's
gotta-
possible to do. I'm not saying it's
yeah.
it's not-
Most zoos you can't feed them.
it just seems like a lot to go to. But that was a stunning because Andrew, I went and looked at that scene from the game on YouTube after. I was like,
Mhm.
this is almost exact.
Yeah, I mean there were
It's
lots
really
of them. The
phenomenal.
one where Tess dies was also basically verbatim the exact same thing.
Mm,
Which was really cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, hey,
had a
look-
lot of really cool moments. I liked.
Since
Now,
we have, oh, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to say, have you done season 2? Because season 2's out on the video game.
Last of Us Part
Format.
2.
Yeah.
I did the original Last of Us. A lot of my friends have played Last of Us Part 2. I haven't because I don't know if it's I was off PlayStation by then, and I'm pretty sure it's PlayStation exclusive.
Now,
So-
yeah, is there any talk that they'll get, they'll strike up some deal and it'll come to Xbox for
Well, it's
Sony?
coming to PC. I know that much.
Okay.
I don't know if it's coming to Xbox. I would
No.
assume with the success of the show though, it
At
probably
some
will.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, why we got you here because we're getting ready to wrap up, and
All right.
these two people that have joined the stream that are supporting us right now. Tell
Yes,
us,
sir.
Tell the folks what we got coming up here.
All
'Cause
right.
you've got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So we
In
got,
fact, we have a new release sometime tonight, don't we?
yeah. So it should be up. Well, hopefully, if nothing else bad happens, it
Right.
should be up at 8 o'clock. We got First Look for Air coming up.
Good.
Air, we got the shoes. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be pretty good. Also we got the quick look for Haunted
Yeah,
Mansion.
Mike doesn't know anything about that, so
Yeah.
I'll talk to him about that.
Yeah,
off air.
so that'll be a funny one.
That'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be very good. And then we got
Indie, right?
No, indie.
Oh, did we already do that?
Jesus, that was like the first one we did.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what day it is.
And then he has to chop up this nonsense. He has to figure out what to do with this pile of mess.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna have Air coming out today. It's like right there. I'm like basically just about to render it. So
Right.
that's gonna be
All
that's
right, so
pretty
we're
dope.
looking at about 8 o'clock. We're looking at a drop.
Yeah, about
So-
8 p.m. is when it should be out. So
Well,
yeah.
listen, we appreciate all the work you've done so far. I mean, the graphics
for
and
it.
the new, like all this
Love
stuff
the
looks
new
great.
intro. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
For those that might have missed it, let's give them a little. Yeah,
Now that should get a subscribe right there. For
it
the
should.
2 people watching, subscribe.
Well,
please.
3.
Yeah.
And if you
Throw-
haven't
throw
subscribed
us
to
a
the
bone.
YouTube channel,
Throw us a
go
bone.
out to the YouTube channel. Get us up to. I mean, folks, we're not even at 120 subscribers.
We've been
Like,
stuck.
I'm not going to beg and plead, but
I am.
120. 120. I mean, come on.
It's been
Ugh.
stuck at 117 for
If
like
you knew-
2 years.
If you knew what I had to deal with off mic with Mike to get us here, I
Hey.
mean, that alone is worth what, 500 subs? All right. Well, listen, Andrew, we'll let you go. We're going to wrap this up
All
so
right,
we can get everybody hopefully to check out the First Look tonight, which is like you said about
yeah.
Air.
It's
And
gonna
then
be good.
we got more
gonna be
coming
good.
down the pike. So yeah,
All
thanks
right,
for
all
everything
right.
you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
Have a good day, everybody.
You
Bye.
too.
There he is, the
All
man
right.
himself.
Yeah, so now you met the guy. You took the old brother down. Oh, because he was in.
Yeah, he was in the stream.
Yeah, you had to juggle that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
So anyways,
black again. Go black and just us.
You're very demanding. there.
I like this. I
Folks,
like the
what do you
black.
think?
I don't know.
You know, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, we'll make it black, pink, orange, yellow, whatever you
We'll
want. the
come out
background.
and paint your house black,
Yeah.
green, orange,
yeah,
yellow.
we'll do a custom background every episode with your favorite color or design.
No, we are at the point of begging for subscribers.
I like
and I
this.
don't know why.
No, we're not.
If
We're
you don't
not.
like
we're
us,
here. No, we're here because we enjoy the
Right.
conversation.
right?
And I keep telling you that. I keep having to remind you. of that.
I know. I'm
no,
the one
you
who.
don't.
I'm the
don't,
one who.
don't lie to the people right now.
No,
because
I'm
we're
the
live
one-
streaming. You're
I'm the one
lying
who
to the people,
started that. I
just
told
like Joe
you,
lied to Ellie.
No,
It's
I
all
told you
bullshit.
at the beginning that if we weren't having fun, we wouldn't do it.
Are we gonna get another one of these, or what? Is this happening? Or
They look so good, but the Celtics
The
looked like
last
they were going to run away with the championship.
last
Now
few
they
games,
look like they're
I
in
don't
the
know,
middle of the road.
last few games? I don't know. It's been pretty rough.
Well,
but
we had 2 losses and we got 2 wins. You
Yeah.
know, and they were on a road trip.
so
next
listen.
4 games.
So listen, we're going to get on a road trip and get the hell out of here because this
All
is
right.
way longer than I ever wanted to be talking to you. I don't
Yeah.
talk to friends contemplating suicide this much.
Dennis
I mean,
Miller.
that's-
Dennis Miller. ladies
Dennis
and gentlemen.
Miller? Is that his cousin?
I tripped over the.
Dennis Miller.
I tripped over
I'm telling
the
you
L.
what it is. You try so hard to resist the Boston accent that it gets you in other ways that you don't expect it.
But
I
I'm
hear
not.
it-
I don't.
I
do it.
hear it constantly while you're on the podcast.
I
Constantly.
don't think about it.
Sometimes I want to bust you for it, and other times I just go, nah, he's got enough on his plate. I don't, I don't want to do
He's
that.
got enough people busted his balls.
Yeah,
No, but-
rhymes with Schmarian. Oh Holy shit! Hey, by
Oh,
the way, is it
mother.
has the snow dissipated? Is the snow gone?
No, there is still snow on the ground,
Yeah,
and
but
it's
you should
cold.
start to. But you should start to turn a corner.
I don't know. We've had snow in May
Mm.
before. With the weather patterns now, even you
What's
have
the
had
what's the
some.
temp there right now
Um,
in good old New England?
it's got to be. It's not. Well, it's cold. I have San Diego listed first,
Yeah,
which is
wishful thinking.
72.
Okay,
Orlando is
it's
77.
77 here. Yeah, and you're at what 35?
42.
42. Yeah. But you again, you got to be turning a corner. As dad would say, it's cold as a witch's tit. Is what he that's when
Teat. I think he says teat,
not
or it
he just said,
said
I think
teat.
he straight up said tit. I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
probably knowing dad.
Dad wasn't cleaning it up for anybody. But
No, no.
all right, well, we got to clean this up. So we'll be back.
If dad were here, he would be in every stream. He would walk in.
Oh, he
He would
absolutely.
not.
And
If
good
I
luck
put a
trying to tell him to get out of the
right,
stream or
I would shut the door. I could put a lock on it, hit
yeah.
unscrew it,
You
come
know,
in, and he'd be say, "Hey guys, what's up? I just saw a movie."
you're in the room that I one of the great dad stories I've told on the show before is I rolled over his bare feet with a computer chair, with a desk chair, with the casters right over his feet.
Were you sitting in
Barefoot.
it?
Oh yeah, of course I was
Oh
sitting in
my
it.
god!
Yeah, I was doing something on the computer. He was behind me, and I went to move the chair, and I went right. And he, he was like, "Mother, you goddamn," like all kinds of expletives coming
I'm
out.
surprised the windows didn't
But then 2
smash.
minutes later, he was good. Like he just, I don't know. He had some weird pain tolerance that I
Well,
can
hey,
never understand.
I know all about that with my neuropathy that nobody can
Yeah, but
fix.
you never walked in from outside in his wood shack after he just cut his thumb off and was like, "Doodle doot doot," like nothing happened. Do you
I
remember that
remember.
one?
I
He
brought
cut
him
it
up to
off
the
with
hospital.
a circular saw.
I brought him up to the hospital with a cup of ice and his thumb in it.
Yeah, there's like a trail of blood. It looked like an episode of Last of Us, and he's just doodly doot, like not, no big deal.
Yeah, I was like, I cut my thumb off. I think I'll go up to Leahy.
Yeah, up the clinic, a couple stitches. Anyways,
He
all right,
was.
listen.
I could tell you stories all day long about Dad that you don't
We
know.
should just do a whole "Oh Dad" episode at
Yeah.
some point because
Oh, father.
when he walked through the screen door, that
Oh.
was classic. There's so many good
And
ones.
plus, I worked with him.
Yeah,
And
you did.
when you work with your dad, he's not your dad. You don't call him dad. You don't say, "Hey,
He's
dad,"
your
because
boss.
you look like a schmuck if you do that.
He's your
So
boss.
I used to,
Hey, Mr. Smith, it's
yeah.
happening again.
No, I wasn't that bad, but I would say, "Yeah, you want to talk to the mechanic, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
But there's so many stories that are just unbelievable. I'll tell you one quick one.
Yeah.
Our dad was a gun nut, right? I hate guns.
I wouldn't go so far as to say he was a gun
He
nut.
was a gun nut.
He wasn't a gun
He
nut.
had a rack of rifles
He
downstairs.
didn't have like a rifle in the back of the truck. Like
He
wasn't,
had what you
he
don't
did
know
have
is
guns all over the place.
he had
but-
a safe
Yeah.
at the station full of guns. And
Yeah.
I got held up one night, okay?
Yeah.
At gunpoint, right? And the guy's telling me to open the safe. Now, I didn't know the combination. I truly didn't.
All right.
And I was totally
If you did, you
calm.
might have been able to get one of those guns and then disarm the robber.
Exactly. I would have reached in and
You
got
stupid
myself
idiot.
shot in the head. But so this is the funny thing. The guy's like, give me the money, give me this, give me that. I'm like, I don't know the combination. It's just an old safe that was here when we got here.
Yeah.
And the guy was like nervous and he ran off finally. Meanwhile, I
What a
leaned
horrible
down.
thief.
Leaned down and tipped the thing was open the whole time. All I had to do was
He never shut it.
no, he didn't shut. He forgot once in a while.
Yeah.
And I would usually check it to make sure it was locked,
Yeah.
but I hadn't checked it and I assumed it was locked. But the story goes, Dad buys this gun, like a 357, something pretty strong, right?
A Saturday night special. or
Saturday
whatever.
night special. and it's probably, filed the
Circa
whole thing.
1979. Yeah.
So he gets Cy, which is used to be our next door neighbor, and
Right.
he worked for Dad as a
Yeah.
mechanic.
That's his
And
name, folks, on his birth certificate.
yeah, his name's Brian, but
Yeah.
nobody called.
But,
In fact,
makes sense.
nobody knew
What
his
his
name
name
was
was.
Brian.
Right.
Nobody. When I
Right.
would say his name, people would go, "His name's Brian?"
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But anyways, Cy sets up a barrel and they fill it with blankets and Dad wanted to
Oh,
fire the
shooting into
gun.
it. Yeah.
He wanted to fire that thing so bad. And the thing went through the barrel, through the wall, out the back of the station. It was unbelievable, but
That was
that was him.
There was
He
some
almost shot you.
It was no, I almost shot him.
Oh, I thought it was him shooting
No,
you.
no. This was the one and only time that he and I, played around with any weapons. We were, because you know him. You came to the house. I don't care how many times my friends have been in the house. It was to say, "Hey, come on, come see my gun collection," or "Come down in the basement and look at this collection or that collection." It
Right.
just, I'm like, "Dad, they just had the tour last week." "Yeah, come on, I added a few things, whatever it was. I got a bunch of keychains now. Come and look at those."
My favorite.
So, but wait, he goes upstairs in the attic and he comes down with just a box of loose weapons.
Yeah. We
No
took those-
safe. There's no safe, no padlock. It was just weapons.
When he died, we brought all that stuff to the police
Well,
department.
and this was probably in there. So he had this little 22 pistol.
Yeah,
that
I
was in
remember
there.
it.
And me and my friend John was over the house. So Dad's going through the spiel of, my guns and this and that, trying to impress or whatever. And so John and I, we got the guns, and so he's got this 122, and we're kind of looking at holding it and whatever. Dad does the safety check and all that, and he was a very safe individual, of course.
But wasn't a lock on it.
Yeah, he was a loving man. He was very tender, and he never caused any mayhem. But so I have the pistol in my hand. And I don't know what I'm doing. I start like just waving it around the living room. We're in the living room of the house. And I'm waving it around. I pointed at John, and then I turned back and I pointed at Dad. And then I turn away like 6 inches, and then I pull the trigger and it goes off. The thing goes off. So I'm like, where's the armorer? Where's the Smith armorer?
Did you think it was unloaded?
I thought it was unloaded.
Oh, man.
So did he. Immediately, Jesus Christ, God damn, grabs it, and he starts like doing.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out there was a slug that was jammed in there that he didn't get the first time that he racked it. So he's like, that's the last time. And the thing went bing, bing, bing all over the living room. And there was a hole in the floor.
Ricochet rabbit.
Thank God Mom was not home.
Oh my God.
I don't think she knows this story.
No, if Mom was home, she would have got hit.
Folks, let's get her in here.
Yeah,
Mary,
let's take a bullet, Mary.
come on down. Yeah.
One final, maybe he can cut this into an Oh Father episode, but
wow.
We came from very, very modest means, lower middle class, out in the suburbs, but Dad managed to buy things once in a while. And one of the things he bought was a boat. And he actually bought two of
boats.
Them. And he had one in the yard and one parked on the patio.
Yeah, I know this story.
Do you know the story? Sag.
Does this involve a big drum? Like one of those like 30-gallon drums?
Yes. So it's 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And on Friday nights, Dad used to go around the corner to this place called the Royal Hawaiian that's no longer there.
I miss it. Skull and Bones. The Skull and Bones.
And he would come home tipsy. I don't know how, he knew all the cops.
Yeah.
On Friday nights was cop night at the station. All the cops came drinking beer on duty. But
don't make
Friday
that
night,
claim. Off
well,
God.
I wouldn't. Yeah. Well, they're no longer on the force, so don't worry about it. They're all 6 feet under.
They all got discharged.
So Dad comes home. Me and Sag are sitting on boat number 1 out in the yard, smoking a joint. Okay.
Oh.
I hardly ever. It's probably the first time I ever smoked a joint.
This is pre-Snoop Dogg too.
And so we're smoking this joint, and all of a sudden Dad pulls up and the lights go on us. And Sag just throws the cigarette, throws the marijuana cigarette. And then Dad sees us. He used to always bring a bag of food home
Right.
for us,
From
you
the
know?
Royal Hawaiian, yeah.
So I'm like, "Sag, oh, we'll eat." And, we had like the
Chinese
munchies.
food, yeah.
So anyways, Dad saw us sitting up in the boat.
Mhm.
And, Dad looking, "Oh, hey, Sag," his name is Paul, but
What is
Dad
this sag? I
yeah,
mean,
Dad's calling him Sag like he's
yeah,
hip. Dad says, "Hey, Sag, come here. You wanna see something?" It's 2 in the morning, Dan, 2 in the
yeah,
morning.
uh
He drops the motor off the second boat into a bucket of water, and he starts it up, and he's, like, humming that thing like
Right. Well, who was gonna say anything?
the whole neighborhood
Yeah, the
knew.
Thompsons?
And me and Sag are looking at each other, and tears are coming down our eyes. We are laughing
It's
so hard.
classic.
Meanwhile, Dad's, like, totally oblivious to us
Yeah.
laughing.
Well, he's 3 sheets to the wind, too.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
all he is, "See, now if I hit this,
yeah.
it goes into third, and if
Of
I hit
course, he took
this."
an Uber home from the Royal
Yeah,
Hawaiian
no,
as he was
there was times he parked, like, crooked on the yard.
yeah. Or perhaps inside a telephone pole a few times.
Or yeah, very close to the
Yeah,
telephone
very
pole.
close to the telephone pole.
'Cause, yeah,
Oh,
one time
boy.
we had, like, 6 cars,
Yeah.
Everyone had to have their own car.
I just was talking about the motorcycle accident story. That'll be for
Oh
another
my
day, but
god, that's another
he and I
one.
he and I out on a motorcycle that wasn't his, and mom didn't know we were on. So that we'll tell that at
And
some other
mom,
time.
oh, mother hates
Hates
both of the 2 things she hates most in life,
guns and
guns and
motorcycles.
motorcycles. Dad
Here comes dad home from work with a gun and a motorcycle. Honey, I'm home.
oh, it was so
Holy
funny.
shit.
So funny.
Still had the beef chow yolk ready for him when he got home. Holy God. All right, we got to get out of here. And speaking of that,
Ah,
I got to eat. Now I'm hungry. So I got to
yeah.
get some. I just ordered while we were live streaming. I ordered my dinner. Multitasking of the Oh Brother podcast.
Alright, nice
All right, well,
job.
appreciate everybody that's been listening or watching or whatever you're
There
doing.
was something oh, I know. I want you to
Well,
ask
just
me
when I
after
thought I was out, folks.
just
He
when we
pulls
get
me
off
back in.
when we get off the air, I want you to ask me about Rebel Force Radio.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay.
I will.
So,
And
alright.
hey, you got this little baby waiting for you when you come down in a
Yeah,
couple of
I'm looking
weeks.
forward to it.
Yeah.
I've got a little
Bless
surprise
him.
for you, by the way.
Oh, nice. Is it
Yeah.
a new baby brother? I don't know. I'm
I
not
can
sure.
talk to her mother about it,
Not quite sure
maybe
why I said that, but yeah.
maybe pimp her out.
Well, she's pretty fertile at her age. Is she 80? She's gonna be 88 in October. All right.
88 coming up.
All right, it's going to do it for another episode of the Oh Brother podcast. Been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. We will see you next time.
And for God's sake, subscribe,
Yeah,
please. I'm
and
begging you. I'm begging.
and lock your guns away, will you?
Bye, everyone.